Hi friends, so someone has just asked me how I made my money in the property market. Okay, so I am gonna just give you a real basic understanding of how we made the money and how you can make the money in property and how easy it could be. So this is going to be really basic. Okay, so I'm just going to pick easy numbers to help me do the workout on my £1 Wilco calculator. Okay. Let's go for a really easy example. Property costs 100 grand. Okay. Let's do it old styley so it makes the numbers nice and easy for you. So property costs, let's just say a property's worth, there's a property somewhere for 100 grand, right? Yeah, right. Okay. Cost of house, let's say. Now let's say you've inherited or borrowed or used credit cards, but don't tell them, 20k. So you've got, and you want to buy a house, so you can put 20 grand down on this house. So you need to borrow 80 grand. Let's say interest rate 5%. Just for ease of numbers, you can get better deals than that. Okay. Now then, using my magic £1 calculator, you do. Right, so if ever you need to work out what the mortgage payment's going to be on a buy-to-let mortgage, because when you're starting out, you only want buy-to-let mortgage. This is an asset that you're buying not to pay off, but to realize the equity on and maybe reinvest or take out and to make profit on. What you need to do, if you're borrowing 80,000, you do 80, let's put the commas in to make it easier. Oh, hang on, 80,000 times 5%, so times 0.05. So you find out what 5% is, and that will be your interest per year, and then divide by, you can't do the divide sign, can you? So you do divide by 12, come on, equals monthly interest. So that equals, is 4,000 a year, divided by 12, £333 a month and 33 pence per month mortgage payment. Okay, so that means that if you make, come on, over £333 per month rent, you break even. What the hell is going on here? Okay, it is a bit dark here because I've got like the light on so you can see what the hell, you can see my handsome face. But yeah, so you break even. Now look, there's going to be a new boiler required. There's going to be something go wrong on the roof. The door's going to get busted or whatever. So some things will be covered by insurances, which you'll have to pay, and there'll be other costs to pay. So as I said, this is just a really basic example. So let's say you need to make, like, if you can't make £333 per month rent, then, you know, the whole thing doesn't exist. But obviously it does exist, so you can do it. So obviously you need to make more than that to cover some other costs. But I'm just going into the basics now. Now look, that's breaking even. But what we haven't taken into consideration here is you now have a £100,000 asset. Boom. Does that mean anything to you? What are your thoughts when I say that? Are your thoughts, no, I haven't, I've still only got a £20,000 asset because only £20,000 of that is mine? That's how most people think. House prices, let's just go, I won't go on the last 2 years. Let's say house prices go up 5% in a year, this year, in any particular year. So if you only had a £20,000 asset, 20, 1, 2, 3 times 5% is £1,000. So let's say you invested 20k in the bank at 5%, you make £1,000 that year. But your house is worth 100,000 at 5% equals £5,000. Kaboom. Kaboom. 500% increase. The difference between making £1,000 and £5,000 in that year. So now, do you have 100 grand to invest? If you have 100 grand to invest, do you buy a £100,000 house outright? No, here's why. Because your £100,000 house, if the houses go up 5% that year, makes you 5 grand. If with your £100,000 you put 20 grand down on 5 houses, so you still used your £100,000, but you've bought 5 houses now, so you've got 500 grand. So you get 500,000 times 5% in that year, £25,000 you make on the capital in a year instead of 5 grand. Again, 5 times increase. And here's something to think about in houses. Well, this is something I learned 15, 20 years ago, which is why I got into this in the first place. The bank will lend you money to buy houses, but it won't lend you money to buy shares, stocks. It won't even lend you money to buy shares in itself. That's how good property is. I mean, if you think how much, let's say on this house, you also buy a 100 grand house, put 20 grand down, and you got a mortgage on £80,000. And say interest rates always stay at 5%. That mortgage never changes. That mortgage payment does never change because you've only borrowed £80,000. But the rental income goes up pretty well in line with inflation. So if you can keep it for 10 years, and let's say you make £400 a month on the rent, and the rent goes up 5% in a year. So that's 400 times 1.05. So it goes to 420 next year. Year after, goes up to 441. Year after, goes up to 463. See how that's gone up? That's compound interest, which Einstein always talked about, how compound works. So in a few years, it's gone up by 60 quid. Think how much it goes up by 10 years, in 10 years, but the mortgage stays the same. That is the basics, but will you do it? I've explained that to 50 people. Not one of them's done it. Catch you later, guys. Hope you enjoyed that. Let me know. I know it's very basic, but let me know what you think.